So we have, let me take off my glasses because I'm so close to you guys. So it's Justin, Tay, and okay. Okay, so Shana,
Yes,
you were the first one on. So you look the youngest. How old are you?
me?
Yeah, how old are you?
I'm 20. I'm not
Okay, you look the youngest. Okay, so I need to know the experience level for you guys so that I get an idea of where we should start. Like any of you taking animation classes at all? None at all. Okay, how about you? None at all. How about you, Shauna? None?
No.
Okay, so we're all pretty new at this. Okay, so have you ever practiced in any type of animation in school or anything like that? No? Okay, so we want to start in the beginning, right? Because this is a traditional animation class and we want to start in the beginning. So let's talk about what you're going to be working on. Do you guys work on computers digitally or are you working on paper?
A bit of both.
You're doing both? Right now you look like you're hooked up. Are you hooked up to work on a computer or are you doing regular old pencil and paper?
I could grab whichever. I have both nearby.
Well, well, the reason why I ask is if you're going to work on your PC, I need you to have certain programs to work on it. Okay, and I need it to be a tablet that has a pen stylus that you can draw on directly, and you could actually show me what you're working on the screen. Otherwise, if you're going to do it on paper, you're going to hold it. You're going to hold it up like this. Okay. That way I can see what you're doing and where you're at. Now, the only important thing about that is if you want to do animation, I was going to tell you guys where to get an animation program that would work for you as a beginner. It's called
So
Pencil 2D.
in the chat, Orlando. You can.
I'm sorry?
You can use the chat on the bottom of the screen and you can type that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. But right now, as far as getting to know you guys, let me be brief on the materials that you could use. Because if we're going to work in pencil and paper, okay, it's great. We could do pencil and paper if you like. But for you to do full animation, you know, to bring it up to the next notch, it'd be great to work on a computer or a tablet, you know, a drawing tablet or something like that. It'd be way better. Okay. So we're going to work on a few of the principles. You guys know how many principles there are in animation? Any clue? There's 12. I'm going to run them off to you so that you get an idea of what they are. And we're going to start on the first one today. Okay. There's number 1, squash and stretch. Number 2, anticipation or antics. Number 3, staging. Number 4, and this, let me be brief with this one. This one is straight ahead animation and pose to pose. When you talk about straight ahead animation and pose to pose, it's a little bit more advanced. So we can touch on that later on, maybe week 4 or 5. There's follow through and overlapping. That's 5. Number 6 is easing in and easing out. Number 7 is arc, which we're going to work on today. Number 8 is secondary action. Number 9 is timing. Timing is how quick or how slow you want the action to be. 10 is exaggeration, okay, which we'll probably touch on today as well. 11 is solid drawing. So solid drawing is making your drawings look good. Do you guys have any issues with that? Okay. And number 12 is appeal, which is the same thing. You want to make your drawings look as nice as possible. So let's work on today. I guess since you guys are all beginners, we're not going to do a walk cycle to probably the 3rd class. So let's work on the bouncing ball, but let's animate that ball into, like, let's say a frog or something. So I'm gonna go to the white screen here so that you guys can follow me. Do you guys have pencil and paper to work on? Yeah. Hang on one second. I'd like to switch this over to my tablet, but my tablet is not connected very well to this.
Do we have to know those steps right now or just keep them in mind?
All these steps are the steps that we're going to go over.
Okay.
So, you know, you don't have to know them right now. But what we're going to do is every time we animate, we're going to put one of these things into the equation. Okay. So we're going to take our time and figure it out. But, you know, slowly we're going to touch into each one. So hang on a second.
Orlando, I gave you an option to share the screen if you need to do that, okay?
Yeah. Did you, okay. So I'm here, but did you by some reason shut off my, because you're the host. You gave me the option to share?
Yes.
Okay, good. I'm on the whiteboard. Can you guys see the whiteboard? Yeah? Okay.
Yep.
All right. So the first thing we want to do, draw, we want a floor level, like so. Okay? And the reason for this is that you want to know where your ball is going to bounce. All right? Let's go red right now. So we're going to start with the ball up here. Right there. Let me know when you're with me. Okay, so now let's talk about arc, which was number 7 of the 12 principles in animation. So we'd like this ball, instead of it crashing straight down, we'd like it to arc and then bounce off the floor, then bounce again, then maybe one more bounce, and then basically roll. Okay. So I'm gonna change the colors so that it's a little bit more visible to you guys. So basically, this being the longest, we want to have a ball here, one here, and this is timing, because the more balls I pull in, the slower it'll become. Okay, so right here is where it touches the ground. So this is the squash. So you can see it's rounder here, and then you got the squash right here. All right, so it's rounder, start pose. Okay, and then right here, when it hits the ground, right, this is the squash. So as soon as it bounces up, this will be the stretch. And then on the top, it goes right back to the circle again. So now this is the arc. This is the arc. This is the squash and stretch. And now this ball right here was a little small, so I got to make it a little bigger to keep it the same size as all the others. Okay, unless it was going off into the distance or something, it wouldn't change. Okay, and same thing, same round ball here, and then again squash again when it hits the ground. Okay, so now it's a much smaller arc. Right here, you'll have one, instead of 3, you'll have 1 bounce. And now we're talking about timing. When we're talking about timing, this is slower. This is a little faster right here. And this is much quicker right here. And then you got another squash right here. And then the ball will just bounce to this position. Okay. So bounce over like this to that position. And then it'll just roll. It'll just roll, right, till it comes to a stop. So right here, just roll till it comes to a stop. Does that make sense to you guys? Yeah. Okay, that's the very basic test or very basic animation one bouncing ball. And then now, what I like you guys to do is to turn that into some sort of let's turn it into a how about a frog? How about a frog by adding a little head and some legs, right? And when he gets down here, it would be basically the same pose up here, right? Same pose of that frog up here. When he gets down here, this is the squish position. And then basically the stretch position would be here. And then this pose would be exactly like that top pose, your first pose on top. So now if you animate this on separate levels, and if you were working on a tablet, excuse me, on a tablet, you could actually have this on separate level and see the whole animation in full. Okay, so this is basic, very basic squash and stretch, plus the arc. Okay, you're seeing the arc as well work. Okay, and then when you get to the roll, that's what you call easing in and easing out. That's easing out. So there's 3 of the basic of 12 of the 12 principles in this one little section that we just did right there. But I want you to understand that and make sense of it, because you basically use this in all your animation. You know, whether you're turning a head, which I'm going to give you an example of that right now, or doing anything a simple move. There's always an ease in and an ease out. There's an arc into it as well. So it's important to know these little things. And it's not hard. It's pretty simple, right? Does it make sense to you guys? Pretty easy to do, right? Okay. Did you guys get to the end of that? Finish that up and let me know when you're done, so we could do something else regarding these same principles. So again, we covered what? Squash and stretch. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about anticipation, which was number 2. When you get down to the bounce, that's a little bit of an anticipation, because that frog or whatever it is that you're drawing, right, will be anticipating the next move. So, you know, the eyes will be up here. It's hard to draw on this whiteboard. So basically stretched out in this position before you see the bounce that goes up. So it's almost like an arc like this. basically right here when it touches the ground, and then the bounce up into the jump. So that's what you would have here. So Raduca, when we do our class in storyboard,
Yes.
do you want me to? I guess we're going to be working on paper, right? I suppose, huh? Most likely it'll be on paper. Most of
Okay.
the time when I teach a class, it's usually digital. But if we're going to work on paper, I should get some. Well, how we do? You know what? I'll try to get some materials that they can copy
Yeah, that would be great. Thank
on
you.
their side, and we'll work from there. That class is a little bit more advanced. And you guys good on this? You got this? Let me know when you're done. Yeah?
I wonder if you can, if you're okay, them using your email, or how do you want to do so they can get that material? I mean, we can put
Yeah,
it on,
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking if you can send me their emails, I can send out, yeah, or give them my email if you like, either way. And then I can
well, it's up
put a
to you.
little packet.
It's up to you, and then they can,
Yeah, put a little packet.
guys, put in chat your email right now, okay? And then we'll have some access, okay?
Yeah,
Everybody?
and then I could put a little packet together for
Yeah,
them to use.
please.
It's a good idea because they can print it out, and then on their side they can see what we're doing.
Yeah. So can you please add your emails?
what software do you usually have your students use?
Okay, so for this particular class, we usually use Pencil 2D. Have you ever heard of that one? Okay, so it might not be so easy to find because it's something used in school. It's a program that we use in school, like for beginners animation. Might not be so easy to find, but see if you can online. Maybe I don't know, maybe eBay or Amazon. Pencil 2D. And then we're using Sketchbook normally for the character design. And then when we get to animation, we usually use what's the best one that we can? There's three of them, but the best one is Toon Boom Storyboard, Toon Boom Storyboard Pro, which is the ones that they use in the studios. Just the one, it would be the best one to use. Shannon, you're done, huh? Can I see? Yes, exactly. And you're doing the frog too. Good. So you get the idea. So if those were separate on each on a sheet of paper, kind of like a flip book, you'd see that full animation work out really nice. Okay, so that's the bouncing ball, basic bouncing ball. Justin, you done too? Take your time. Go ahead.
Well, I'm turning into the frog,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm bad at drawing animals.
Oh, okay, good. That's the next. Okay, so we'll work on that right now.
I'll just say I'm good at drawing objects, but terrible at people and anything that's alive.
So you're terrible at soft stuff, but you're good at hard stuff, like a cup. That's okay, dude. That's what we're gonna work on. That's what we're gonna work on. So the next step I'm gonna show you guys is a slow head turn, okay? Which would be something that you could work on, Justin, and give you an idea how to work on soft objects as opposed to hard objects. Tay, you good? You done? Okay, so I'm gonna erase this. All right, so we're gonna work on, let's say who we're gonna do here. We're gonna do Bart. And you know what? Let me do it in a different color. Because when you start working, this is something I wanted to see, and I saw a little bit on yours, Shauna. When you start your drawings, remember one of these basic animation principles was what? Appeal and solid drawings, right? So solid drawing means that you have to basically blueprint what you're going to draw. Let me give you an idea of what that looks like. Where's my color? Right here. Okay, so if I were drawing Bart, I would start with something that you would have no problem with, Justin. Something that looks like a cup. Better yet, something that looks like a can. Okay? All right, so if I'm drawing Bart, I would have to draw an eye line and a center line because it's going to be looking directly at me. So this line right here in the middle is where I put my eyes. Right here. Also leads to the nose and the ears. Okay? The mouth is here, and then the neck. Okay, and then anybody know how many of these hair pieces Bart has? Hair peaks. He's got 9. So 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 3 in the middle. Right? Okay. So you understand the blueprint there, and then you go over it in black. You do a cleanup in black. But there's your blueprint, and that's how you do solid drawing. So when you start talking about the 12 principles, this is solid drawing. You have the blueprint to look like first. Okay? Any questions on it? No, right? It's easy, right? Looks easy, right? Once you practice it, it gets really easy. All right, so now, if you were doing a head turn, all right, what you want to do is, again, we're talking about solid drawings. When you do a head turn on Bart, you got to keep the same size of the head. You got to keep the same size. You keep that line going all the way across, but now the eye moves. The eye moves over here, same size eye. This eye gets a little smaller. Nose gets a little longer. Okay? And the ear will be right here. Same thing with the hair. 1 here, 1 at the end, 1 in the middle, and 3 in between. That's how you draw Bart. And that's a head turn. So he's basically turning this way. Okay? Now this would be a 3/4. And then this is a frontal. This is the frontal. That's a 3/4. But you notice how the head doesn't change its size, its mass, eyes stay the same size, everything's moving correctly and nothing is changing or getting bigger or smaller because all he's doing is turning his head. So in an animation like this, before the way to ease in and ease out of that, before you go to that red drawing, you basically move his eyes over first. Move his eyes over first, and then you turn his head. That way you know he's going to look to his left or his right on my side, whatever side it is looking to on you guys. But that would be a head turn. That would be a head turn. So now, if it's a slow head turn, there might be an in-between drawing in between these two. And if it's a quick head turn, it would just be timed really quick, like on ones. Okay, and it'd be a quick head turn, and maybe there's a reaction. Maybe what happens is when you get to this drawing down here, where am I? When you get to this drawing, nope. Maybe Bart goes, you know, he has some sort of reaction with his mouth. Maybe his eyes get bigger, right? Something happens, or he sees something that creates some sort of reaction for him. Or maybe some dialogue, whatever happens in that particular scene. So I made one little boo-boo here, and I don't want to make a mistake. That ear should be a little further over. That ear should be about here. Okay, because it's a 3/4. Now, if we were going to turn that head, and let's do a different color. We were going to turn that head completely around. It's basically the same size. Keep that same line over, same size. And now he's turning completely around. All you need is his ears. All you need is his ears on this. Because you keep that same line going across, and then same thing with the hair. And this is very important in animation because you don't want him to pop in different sizes. You just want him to stay pretty much consistent all the way through. So there you go. You got him turning 3/4 in one direction and completely around in the other. You know, then you get into the body, of course. You know. And you notice I'm drawing really, really rough because that's the way you want to practice. You don't want to draw too tight. Okay. When you're working out here, all the cleanups that you see on TV, that's all done in Korea. We work very roughly out here. Okay, because you get more expression. You get the rougher drawings show more. Even though my drawings kind of suck today, but they can look better. Any questions about that? So right there, you know, now here's another thing we could have done. We could do the squash and stretch here if we did something like this. And let me clear this so that you can get an idea. So let's say this is Bart's head, okay? This is Bart's head. So he's looking directly at us. Now remember that line goes there, right there in the middle. Nose, right? It's looking directly at us. Right? Right, so now, let's go to red. If we wanted to do the squash and stretch, we can actually have him antic down before he turns. So it will be the same cup, right? We say cup when we, but this is kind of like a can more than anything else. So now he's gonna turn his head down. Maybe he antics down like so, okay? Right, antics down. Right, now when you antic, usually your shoulders go up and then possibly go into that surprise look that we were doing before. Big eyes. And this is going to be a side view. This one's going to be a side view. So you keep that line going, nose, right? Right, so it'd be 1, 2, 3. All right, this would be the antic or anticipation. Right, so he would go down first and then come right back up into this pose. Like what? You know what I'm saying? It's like first pose, he's just looking at it, comes down into it, and then comes right back out. Okay, so I want you guys to try that. Try so it's a head turn right into a side. This is a side view of Bart. So you're starting with a frontal, and then you're gonna do an antic, and then you're gonna come out of it with this surprise look. Try that one real quick, and then we could say we covered all these little squash and stretch, anticipation. That's pretty good for one day. 3. That's not bad. We'll try it on something else. Maybe we'll do it with Lisa or Maggie or something, and we'll do something different. We'll do let's try our whole body or something, and we'll give that a shot.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So for these, would it, like in an animation, would they literally just be 3 images or?
Okay. So the magic number 3. All right. So one before we get to that, let me tell you one thing that I forgot to say about this. Do you guys see an arc in this? You don't?
Slightly.
You kind of see it, right? Remember we talked about arc? Okay, so that was one of the principles. Remember arc when we did the bouncing ball? Okay, so you see how the red head comes down a little bit? That's your arc. This is your arc right here. Start here with number 1, come down in an arc and come up in the third, to the third pose. That's your arc. That softens your animation. It doesn't make it stiff. It softens all your animation. And that's important. Now getting to your question about 3. Why 3 poses? We're working very carefully in having a start pose, a middle pose, okay, and an end pose. That gives you a 3. Now within those 3, you can have 3 more, depending on what you want to go faster or slower. But right now, we're just going to keep it simple and work with 3 poses. Now, when you storyboard, if you guys are, I don't know, any of you guys taking a storyboard class? Which is Friday? Okay, so that is probably the most difficult class. But when you storyboard, you need to have at least 3 poses in for every scene you do, minimum. Okay, when you animate, it could be way more. This head turn could be 12 poses. Depends, because maybe he looks in 2 directions before he even antics and then turns completely around. So yeah, 3 poses to be simple, but believe me, they could be plenty more. Depends. You could have dialogue and you could have more poses just in dialogue. Okay.
I'm just going to say the sizing is a little wrong on mine because I can't find my erasers.
You're working on paper. that's the thing about when you work on your tablet. You can
Well, I
just
have
touch
one
it.
over there.
Oh yeah, next time use your tablet so that it'll be easier for you. You know how easy it is to erase on those. You can just make it disappear.
Yeah, I drew an axe yesterday.
Did you? It's good practice. I'll tell you, the more you draw, the easier it gets. You got to draw a lot to learn to animate. Animation requires a lot of practice. It really does. At some point, it'd be great if you guys were all working on a tablet and had that program, because then you could actually see your animation at work, So on this red drawing, okay, so this shape that we're using, which is like a can that we're using for Bart's head, okay? This is what you would need to practice as animating this shape. You would want to turn it, like let's say you were doing a down shot of that can, you want to see the top. So you can do a down shot on his head. You want to see the top, okay? Same thing for an upshot of his head. You want to do the same size can, right? And then you would have the upshot. So this would be a down shot. This would be an upshot. This would be a regular frontal shot of that same head. So it's just a can. You're just moving the can around, okay? Because once you put the eye line in there and you put the two eyes, right, and the nose, he starts to look like Bart. Do the same thing here, and now the eyes are a little bit lower, right? I put him in a 3/4 right there. And then if he's looking up, you put the same eye line there, and now he's looking up, and the nose is looking up. Everything is pointing up. And you see how quickly you can start turning the head in every direction. Okay, so again, animation is the art of moving shapes. So Justin, if you've been drawing a lot of shapes, you've actually been practicing the right stuff for this. So it's all a matter of learning how to move the shapes and learn how how the timing works with these arcs and stuff like that. And then it becomes pretty easy. But the first time you do this, when you start roughing animation, you're just going to do shapes. You're not going to really draw in the whole character or anything. You're just going to do shapes like I just did here in these blue lines. You do this because it's easier, and then you can see your full animation at work, and then you could add, the details at a later stage. But basically, it's just moving shapes around. And if you get into 3D, that's all they do is they build a model and then they move it around. It's the same thing. This is traditional 2D, so you have to learn how to draw the shapes. And like you said, Justin, that's the kind of stuff you're good at, so it should help you. It should give you a head start on this. Let me know when you guys are done, and we'll do a little. Who should we do? Lisa or somebody? We should do one of the girls for Shauna, right? Right, Shauna?
Okay, so mine's done, but I definitely got the sizing of well, I got everything wrong on the third image.
Hey, I like your honesty. Nothing wrong with that. You can draw it again.
And I mean everything wrong on the third image.
Let me see. Oh yeah, it's good though, baby. But you're getting the right idea. You got the right idea there.
If I had
But
my
that's
erasers,
fixable. So here's what's cool about that. If you were drawing on a tablet, you could just grab the whole thing and make it the size you want it. And you know what I'm saying? It makes it so much easier. Okay? So you got to, I don't know, Christmas or whatever, get that tablet from your dad or your mom. Either way. Okay, you guys ready for the next one? Yeah? All right, let's try something different. All right. So now we know that the shape is where we want to start. Okay, so if I started with a circle, and that's a terrible circle, let me do that again. My pen is skipping on this thing. With a circle, okay? And wanted to draw Lisa. It's the same thing. Front line, right? And then you go into the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears. So these lines are your guide all the way through. Okay, so Lisa has how many? How many hairs, guys? Does anybody remember? I'd be forgetting. I honestly be forgetting how many hairs she has. But I know she always has 2 down here. And then she's got the little. So real rough, doesn't have to be clean. You just want to get what she looks like down, okay? And what you got? 3, I think, eyelashes, I think. Or is it 4? I think it's, yeah. Haven't drawn Lisa in a while. Okay, so. So now, if I wanted to draw her body, I need another ball down here. And basically her body does this. It's kind of like, this is her dress. Okay, that's her body. Okay, and then from that ball, you got your legs. They roll out. And then her feet. Her arms come right out of the her necklace up here, right from here. And that's her body. It's pretty simple to draw. And basically their arms and their legs, they're kind of like a noodle. And so, and I don't know why I'm giving you a lesson on drawing her, but kind of like a noodle, you know, there's no like, the knees don't break like that. You know what I mean? They don't break like that. They break like this, round. Okay, erase. So now, all right. So now, this same shape, same circle, okay, same circle. I'm turning her in this direction. If I was gonna animate her and turn her in this direction, okay, this is the way I would do it. This leg would be here, and then this leg, the right leg, would start to move in this direction like so. This arm would drag behind. This arm would come this way. Okay, and now we're talking 3/4, and her eye would be here, and this eye would be a little smaller, nose, lip, and then of course, right? And then from there, she could take a full step. Well, let's say she starts running, and then I basically lean her a little bit, same head. Maybe she turns completely sideways right now. And this is how rough you should draw when you're trying to animate, okay? Maybe I turn it completely, and now she's running. Right? And throws, here's that ball. That ball is here, that ball is here. So now she throws her leg out. And so now you got 3 poses of Lisa starting to turn around into a run. Okay, with just 3 poses. Now again, Shauna, it's just 3 poses. But basically you do a second pose of this third one with the right arm on the front side as opposed to behind. And you just use those 2 drawings as she runs away or whatever. As she runs out of screen, you could use those 2 drawings over and over. You don't have to put all the in-betweens in because that's usually done in Korea. To learn to fully animate, is a great thing, but there's very few animators working in the States nowadays. I mean, as far as the shows that I've been working on, maybe 2 or 3 at the max, you know. But you do have to do the key poses. The key poses is what you have, you know, what has to be done. As far as in the States, you have to do the key poses. And these would be key poses, what you're seeing there in front of you. So you see how I built Lisa? It's pretty simple, right? Just shapes. Circle up top, circle down here, right? Circle here, circle here. And then you fill in the hair. You know, you fill in the hair. And again, these are all very rough drawings because
Her hair
later
looks
on
the
they're
same
gonna
from
make.
the side.
What's that?
Her hair looks the same from the side.
Yeah, it's the same, and it should be the same size. Okay. The only time you would change that is if there's wind blowing or she's going super fast, and then maybe you start to curve the hair, you know, to show that there's wind coming in from the front. But other than that, the hair, everything stays the same. Everything has to stay the same size so it doesn't pop on the screen. Okay, I'm sure you've seen those animations that pop all the time. Yeah, that's because the sizes are changing. All right. That's a quick animation of Lisa. So now we talked about what? We've talked about the arc. We talked about the squash and stretch. We talked about anticipation, right? That's 3 things right there. That's good. A little bit about timing, but timing is a little bit more advanced, you know? We talked a little bit about easing in and easing out, right? And when you talk about solid drawing, again, it all depends on how you're building the character. And you have to build it just like I did here. You know, you got to keep all these lines consistent all the way through. These lines go all the way through. All these lines go all the way through. You can see the head stays the same size. Everything stays the same size. And the floor, everything has to be the same size so that it doesn't pop, get bigger, get small, unless she's coming towards camera or something. If there's somebody running at you or away from you, that's the only time that we're going to change sizes. Okay. Now the other thing is when you're drawing roughly like this, you know, draw quickly. Don't slow yourself down and make a beautiful drawing, because these are all roughs. These are all on how to do this. Later on is when you can make it pretty. When you have all your animation poses down, then you come back in and on a separate level, then you make it nice. You don't really draw on top of this. You basically put another sheet of paper down if you're working on paper, and then you trace it. You guys have like a tracing board or anything like that to work on? Yeah? Good. Good.
You could also, if you guys don't have a tracing board, you could just put it up against a window with another piece of paper.
Yeah. Yeah, we had to do that in class once when we lost electricity. Everybody was drawing up against the glass. Oh man! But no more classes though. We haven't done classes, Raduca, in months. Everything's online now.
Yeah. Terrible.
Everything's online now.
Yeah.
So
Not great.
it's a little different. You know, I don't know how you guys like it, but it's a
My
little
kitten,
different from being all in a classroom and, you know.
my kitten keeps coming over here to try and wreck everything. Hey, stop biting me.
He wants to draw.
So just for information, we have 5 more minutes left because
Oh, 5 more minutes?
have, yeah, classes. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I didn't realize. Okay. So,
Or
okay. Any questions so far, guys? Next week, we're actually gonna do a walk cycle. We're gonna do a walk cycle, and if you guys can actually get the equipment together, if it's possible, cool. Because if you're working on Pencil 2D, then I can walk you through that and show you how that works.
Well, I have Procreate on an iPad over there.
Procreate is cool, but I've never used it for animation. Can you animate on it?
Um,
Separate levels, like moving?
there are separate layers in that.
Yeah, but how about moving each sketch one after the other? Could you do that? Because it has a play button on. Hey, he's violent. That's a violent guy.
He came
Oh,
and
man.
the kitten, he just came and bit my face.
Oh my gosh. All right, so we only have 5 minutes, so let's talk. Let's talk about okay. Sorry about that. I was using my tablet. But here's what I'd like to say to you guys. It's important to have the right, for animation, it's important to have the right equipment. So, okay, so my stuff is all tied down, but I work on one of these, let me show you. I work on one of these. Can you see my tablet?
Yeah.
Yeah, I work on one of those. And if you can get, it doesn't have to be that big, because the tablet that I'm working on here is only 13 inches. But if you can get one of those, it's going to help you with your animation. It's going to be a lot easier to do. Today, what we worked on is just brief little beginner stuff, but we want to bring it up a notch each time. So next time around, I'm going to make you do something a little tougher, which is a walk cycle. And so once you get to do a walk cycle and you see it moving, you're going to get caught up, and then you're going to want to do a little bit more and a little bit more. And then, we can work on, little sections of a script or something like that as you get a little better. But Justin, work on the bodies of characters, like the ones that I just gave you today. Work on that. And then remember, it's just shapes. It's just round circles and cans and things like that. It's just shapes. And if you learn how to turn them, here's my drink. Right? You learn how to turn it, right? That's it. That's animation. And then you fill in the blanks. You put in the eyes, you put in the mouth, and then you actually start to learn how to do acting and things like that. So any questions, guys? I know we're short on time, right? Yeah.
That's okay.
What do you got, Shannon?
You can go first.
Who's first? No questions? No questions?
Yeah, my question was basically, I don't have an iPad or any touch. The only thing that I have that is touch is this. So,
Yeah, too small.
yeah, it's too small. My
Yeah.
brother has an iPad that I may be able to use.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if there's a really steep learning curve for the software that we would need.
The one that the beginner's one is the one that I'm talking about, the Pencil 2D. But you still need the equipment to work on it.
Yeah.
If you're going to work on paper, you got to learn how to flip the pages to see the movement. That's old school right there. Nobody does it anymore. But if you're going to work on paper, you got to learn to flip the pages so you can see, like a flip book, so that you can see the movement, and then work on each page individually. It's a little bit more, difficult. Whereas on the tablet, you can see 3 drawings, one over the other. It lets you see the drawing underneath the one that you just did, and then you draw over that one and you do the movement. So that's the difference, basically. It makes it easier for you.
Can you not do that on just any digital drawing?
On what? On a different, you mean like a regular computer?
Or a regular computer, or I use on my phone Adobe Draw or just Adobe Illustrator, random.
No, not an Illustrator, but there's probably others. We use Pencil 2D because it was the best one to teach and beginners class. There are better ones than that. There are way better ones than that, but that's a good beginner's one because it's simple, and then you understand how to time, and it gives you all the details. If you can't, go on YouTube and basically search for Pencil 2D. Just put in Pencil 2D, and you'll have some classes on YouTube on Pencil 2D, so you can get an idea of what it looks like. You know, and then if you're able to get it, that'd be awesome. You know,
Yeah, I think
but you know, it
good.
doesn't have to be right now. We can work on paper. You know, I just want you guys to be able to see your work, because there's one thing drawing them, all the poses on, like I just did. I drew them all on one sheet of paper. Much better when you can see the whole thing moving. You know, each on a separate sheet of paper, and then you hit play and you can see all your animation come to life. It's way cool. Okay, Raduca, are we done? Are we...
Yeah, I think we're done. So I have the emails. I'm gonna send you a note, and then you
Yeah.
can continue a conversation with them.
I'll send them the next class so they have an idea of what it's going to be, and I'll send you something to maybe print out that you can work off of. Is that cool? It's nice meeting you guys, Jana.
Thank you so
Justin,
much, Orlando.
okay.
And
You.
guys, you can come on Wednesday and Friday. I mean, this is a
Yeah.
fabulous class.
Yeah, Wednesday is character design. So that would be a cool class, character design, because then you can create your own characters, and then we could do the walk cycle with your character. That'd be kind of fun. Cool?
Okay.
Nice seeing everybody.
Thank you.
Bye, Raduca.
Bye. Thank you, Orlando.
Bye-bye. See you guys next
Bye.
week. All right, see you, Tech.